Hi, and welcome to Wild Woman. My name is Mary, and so this is one of my first videos that I'm doing as Wild Woman. And so I thought I would take this opportunity to introduce myself, tell you a little bit about where I've been and how I am continuing on right now, a little bit about my past, and I thought I would tell you a little bit about why I've decided to call my blog and my YouTube channel Wild Woman. So here we go. My name is Mary, and several years ago, I got to a place in my life where I was really stuck. And so I am now in what I'm calling creative recovery. And over the last several years, I've been working on recovering my creativity, and I'll make a separate video specifically on that point. But to give you a really brief overview, I had gotten to the point where I was basically going through the motions of life. I was going to work, I was eating, I was going to bed, and that was really about it. And so I just began to really feel like I was dead, like I was stuck, like I wasn't doing anything that was spiritual or creative. And to be honest, I hadn't done any real creative work probably since I had been in college. And I'm in my 40s now, so that had been a long time. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about a couple of books, and I will also do an entire video on each of these books individually and go a little bit deeper into each one of them. But as an introduction today, I thought I would just mention them. The first one is this one. It's The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and this book was suggested to me several years ago, and you can kind of see it's a pretty well-worn book, and I used it quite a bit, and I've got some bookmarkers in here marking some interesting thoughts that I found in this book. And so I thought I would tell you a little bit about this, and I'll go into this a little more deeply in a separate video by itself, but effectively, what it is, it's a book that helps creative folks like myself to rediscover and recover their creativity. So for a lot of people that might be blocked creatively, or people that are creative but they're not creating, this was an important step for me. And it's basically, I would describe it as a self-help book. It kind of walks you through each chapter is a different step in the process of recovering creativity, and there's different activities and things that the author suggests for you to do each week as you're working through each of the chapters. So a couple of those things are that you commit yourself to doing morning pages, which is basically journaling. You do 3 pages of writing, journal writing every day, and artist dates. And I can talk about each one of those things a little bit more in detail at another time. But an artist date is kind of what it sounds like. You take yourself, your inner artist, on a date. And you go out and do something that is inspiring to you. It inspires your inner creative to refill the well of creativity and to bring new interest and new life into your creative work. So I did that a few years ago, and it, oh my gosh, it just really opened up my creativity and got me back to where I was creating and making and doing things. And so some of my creative outlets are writing. I do a lot of work in fabric craft. I like to make clothes. I like to just sort of create little projects here and there. But mostly in fabrics, I like to sew. And so I do a lot of interesting and creative projects, and that continuing that process to create and to live into daily creative practices have really brought me to a new place in my life where I'm feeling awesome. I'm doing creative work, and I truly believe, thanks to Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, that I was created to be a creator, that I co-create in this world, and I create things and bring things into being. So that was a breakthrough moment for me, to acknowledge and accept my own inner creator and to bring new things into the world. So that was really helpful to me. And so I am now in what I call creative recovery, having been dead to my creativity for many, many, many years. Doing the practices that Julia Cameron recommends in her book have brought me into that recovery. And so now what I'm working on now is what I would call spiritual recovery. And that started with this book right here, Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And I'm on my second go around, and you can see I've actually had to tape the corners back together again, and the edges and the corners of this book are very well worn. And I'm on my second go around with this book because the first go around was really, really challenging. I mean, first of all, just kind of getting some of the vocabulary and getting some of the basic concepts down was really difficult. But this was a book that was, again, this was a recommendation to me from someone that I met through a Facebook group. And so I sat down with it and I started reading it. And when I got to the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to somebody about this. Who can I talk to? And I don't know a whole lot of people in my personal circle who have read this book. So I went online and I found a Facebook group, and I'll put a link in the down bar here to the Women Who Run with the Wolves Facebook group. We're doing an online book club that is hosted by Emma Basu, who's awesome. So shout out to Emma. And I'll also put a link down here to Emma's blog and website. She's on Patreon as well. And so she's been a really big help to me in doing the Facebook book club and online book club format, so that I have actually other people that I can talk to about this. And that's really important with this book. But what this is, in brief, is a book for women, and it talks about the archetypes of wild women in folklore and myth. And this book, Women Who Run with the Wolves, has helped me to recover spiritually. And so I'll be talking in a segment specifically about this book and what this book has done for me and what it means to me personally, but I thought I would mention it here in this introduction just to kind of let you know a couple of book suggestions that have been really helpful guides for me. But recovering spiritually is a process that I'm still in, and that's where I'm starting this blog and this YouTube channel to kind of articulate out loud and to share with you what I'm going through and how I'm working through this spiritual recovery process. And that's really one of the reasons why I wanted to restart my blog and restart my YouTube channel, is because I thought, you know, there's got to be other people out there that are going through some of the same things that I've been through. And there have got to be other people out there that are working their way through creative and spiritual recovery. And so a couple of things I want to, if there's someone out there that's really struggling with blocked creativity, with a blocked spiritual life, if I can reach out, if I can give you a word of advice or a word of encouragement from time to time through my videos or through my blog, I think that's something that's worth doing. And I also wanted to create community. Like I said, when I finished reading Women Who Run with the Wolves for the first time, I didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. And it's such a deep, deep spiritual book that it's actually difficult to process on your own. And so needing and wanting creativity, wanting a community that I could reach out to was really, really important. So I want to create community here on YouTube. And so if you've read the book, if you haven't read the book and you want to, or if you're thinking about it, please subscribe or follow me on my blog. because I'll be talking probably a lot about this book, and I'll be talking a lot about spiritual recovery throughout my journey here. And so if you want to follow along, if you want to add your thoughts in the comment section, that would be great, because I would love to hear what's going on with you. I would love to hear what's going on in your life and how you have recovered creatively and spiritually in your life. And so that's the reason why I'm doing this. And the reason why I decided to call myself Wild Woman is because that's the main theme running through this book, is the wild woman archetype. So I'm going to be exploring Wild Woman through my blog and through my YouTube channel. So we'll see how that goes. But really what Wild Woman means to me is just living authentically, living into that intuitive, instinctual nature that we all have, and many of us have repressed. That intuitive, wild, instinctive nature has been repressed and pushed down and disregarded and pushed into the shadows and into the corner, so that we no longer connect with our wild and natural state. So that's what this book is about, and I decided to call myself Wild Woman because Wild Woman, I am now finally living as a wild and free and instinctive and intuitive woman. And I am celebrating that wild nature within myself. And I'm hoping that many, many, many more women can recover and find that wild and instinctive nature within themselves, and that we can all learn from one another and bridge and connect and bring that wild and instinctive nature out into the world. So that's a little bit of an introduction on me, where I've been, what I've been working on, and some preview into some of my future ideas for videos in the future. And so I hope that you will follow and subscribe and comment. And I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear what's going on with you. And if you are subscribing, I'd love to hear where you are, if you've experienced creative block or spiritual block, and how you are coming along with that. And I hope that we can establish a community and we can share our ideas with one another. So welcome to Wild Woman.